Guys, welcome back to my channel. So in this video I'm going to be showing you guys how to make this dress. I'm making it for a client. So guys, basically what I have here is just a basic bodice pattern, right? And then the next thing is to go up to so you see her shoulder measurement divided by 2, and then I mark 3 inches of shoulder neckline, and then all I have to do is just to give it the curve here, this neck curve. This is what is supposed to be here, right? And then from this point, so her shoulder divided by 2 is 8 inches. I marked it here, and then I marked my shoulder slope. That came down 1 inch mark and the shoulder slope. And then after that, I marked from this point here to about 3 inches. It depends on you what the length of your strap would be, what you want to use. So I just did 3 inches for her because she's big and she wants to have like a band, like this strap not to come down too much, so that she can wear it with bra. So now the next thing I'm going to do is to come down here by the neckline, and then you're going to insert where they want the V to be, right? The length of the V, how deep it will go. So I'm going to just do about 7 inches or 7.5. That depends on you. So I'm going to mark that, and then from this line here, you see I just marked my shoulder slope, which is 5 inches, because I already said the neckline is 16, the shoulder is 16, divided by 2 is 8. I marked 3 inches of basic neckline, and then the remaining shoulder slope I have here is like 5 inches, right? So now I'm going to find half of that 5, which is at 2.5, and then I came down 3 inches on that line. And then the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to connect one side of this to the V here, and then the other side of it to blend into the armhole this way. Just connect it this way, and that's basically it, right? So this is the spaghetti strap. Just 3 inches is what I'll do, and then the neckline, and then the armhole. So the rest of the body, this is just her basic, just this, and this line here on this armhole line, what I did is her bust measurement divided by 4 plus 1 from the bust going down all the way to the end, right? So you can stick with that. So now the next thing I'm going to do is just to cut this part here and then cut this part off. So sorry, it's 38, right? It's 38. The total length from the beginning of this dress to the end of the dress is 38 inches, because remember it's supposed to be like a short dress. So then, so I'm trying to calculate how much each part will be, like the length of each part. So now from the strap, which you calculated, is 3 inches for me, right? Remember when I marked 3 inches from the top of the shoulder slope to this point, 3 inches. And then now the next thing I have to calculate is what this length, this part will be. That's from after the strap down to this part here, before the girder, because remember there's a girder at the last line, right? So now I decided that this girder, I want it to be from this point to this point, I want it to be 6 inches. So this is 6 inches here, and then what I'm going to have in between here is 29. So if I calculate these 3 numbers together, my 3 inches of the strap, 29 inches for the body, and 6 inches for the lower part, I'll have my 38 for the whole length of the dress. So it depends on you. You can do, if you want the dress to come down more, you can do 6 inches on the strap, then whatever the body is going to be, and then this, all you have to do is just to take your time and calculate everything. Just write out the number you want to work with as the length of your dress, be it 35, be it 40, be it 36. You write in your strap, you write in the body of the dress, and then the length you want the bottom part to be. So that's basically how I did mine. So 6 inches, 29 inches, and 3 inches to give me 38, right? So now what I'm going to do is to this 6 inches, I'm going to add 1 inch to it to fold the edge, because I need 1 inch to fold this edge, which is the lower part of the dress, and then I need half an inch to join this part to this part. So to this one I need to add 1.5. So that means 7.5 is going to be the length of my flare when I'm cutting the fabric, because I need 1 inch to fold this edge and half an inch to join this part. And then for this center part, I need just half an inch added to the length of this, right? The only part of it that will be joined to this here, right? So I just need half an inch at the length here. The one that you're going to use for all these seam allowance won't even make any difference, because you're going to be joining the strap to the body of this clothes, like we're going to see when I start doing that. So that's basically all you need to here. So I'm going to add half an inch, 0.5 is going to be added to this. So 29.5 is going to be the length of this center one. With this 0.5 is going to be gone by the time we add our seam allowances. And that's basically all the seam allowances we need. There's no need for seam allowances on this strap. You understand? This is the only part that needs it, the lower part of the body and then the lower part of the girder. So now on my fabric, as you can see, after cutting this out, what I did was to go ahead and rule a line. Guys, if you don't want too much flay, you can just rule a line on this peak, the peak of this here, just that, and then spread it open. And when you were cutting it, you can also, when you're cutting it, you can also just at the bottom line here, maybe you can cut it up to your hip length. That's your shoulder to your hip length bodice. And then on this part, you can add like maybe extra 4 inches or 5 inches and angle it like an A line. Like make the pepper look like an A line. If you want to do that, you can do that, so that once you finish, all you have to do is just to slash it open here, and then it will give you extra room. You understand? Like you slash it open on this line that goes all the way to the peak of where this, and then add more room to it. So imagine if I cut this open now on this part too, and then I also already have the pepper in form of an A line this way. So once I slash this open, and then I also have this A line that I've added, you see I already have enough girder. So I already have enough room, if that makes any sense, guys. So what I'm saying is, after this extension now, and you have this here, like, and then I slash this open, you see I already have enough space working with. But guys, since mine is not like that, so all I did here is I want some girder by the neck. If you look at the picture, you'll see that there's a girder there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to slash it in here. Guys, if you don't have to do this if you don't want to, but I need a girder by the neck, so I'm going to cut this entirely out. You see, but I'm not going to slash this one anymore. I'm just going to leave it the way it is. But if you also want the girder by the armhole, you can slash this one also. That way it will give you some girder by the armhole side too, because this here is just for me to give at least 2 inches room in between here, or I can do 1.5 inches room in between here and then slash the rest open this way. This is just for me to have girder by the neckline, you understand? This is just for me to have some room by the neck. So I'm going to fold my fabric into 2 and place it so I can show you guys what I'm actually saying. So guys, this is it here. So what I did is just to basically like I said, I need about 1 inch or 1.5 here, because guys, remember this is going to be on a fold. You see, I folded this into 2, and the center part, you need to make it get to the very end of the pepper. The very end of the pepper will be pinned down to the fold. Exactly. There's no space there. And then here I left about 1.5 or 1 inch in between here. This side here, you can skip it if you don't want any girder on your neckline. I did 1.5 here because remember there's other side too, which is going to have this 1.5. You don't want to make it too much. So there's 1.5 space here, 1.5 space on the other side too. That's going to give me at least 3 inches, which is okay. And then in between here, there's a space here. So you see, if I also wanted a space on the sleeve too, I would have just split this open too and then add 1.5 space here too, so that when I'm pulling the girder, I can also add girder to the armhole side and then also add girder to the top part. But I don't need that. I want it to just remain the same. So you see, now what I did is to pin this together, because my paper doesn't have the A-line already and it's not up to the length I want. Remember, I want 29.5 here. So what I did is, at the highest point of my paper is where I put my tape. So, and then I measure 29.5, because this is where I can measure it from this part. This is not the right place. It's here, the highest point of the paper. So it's 29.5 that I have there. And then what I did is just to mark a straight line across on that 29.5. And then what I'm going to do next now is, you see, when I was pinning mine down, I didn't get to the end because I still need to add in my A line. So what I'm going to do is just to keep it straight and then blend it into this line as if it's still going down this way into where this line meets each other. So you see, so now I have my A line going from this line all the way to the top like this. So but what I will do on this end now is, on this A line, I'm going to go up 1 inch. You can do 1.5 if you want to, and then I'm going to blend it into this line. This will help it not to be like dropping on this edge here. You can do 1.5 depending on you. So I did 1 inch here. So that's basically it. All I have to do now is just to go ahead and cut from here into the armhole, cut the neckline. This is our front pattern. You can just double your fabric into 4 and cut it. It doesn't matter, and cut the front and the back if you want the two of them to have the same neckline. But I want the back to have a round neckline, so I'm not going to actually use the same neckline. I'm just going to use the fabric and trace out the back, but change the neckline. So let's go ahead and cut. So guys, this is it here. I've cut out the front, so I'm going to use it to trace the back. So guys, you see, I just cut this out, and then the bottom. This is for the back panel that I'm trying to trace out now using my front one. So you see, once I cut, every other thing is the same, right? But you see, when it comes to the neckline, because I said I don't want the back to be just like the front, so what I'm going to do is I want a round neck. So what I'm going to do is just to give it a curve from the peak of this here. You see, from the peak of this here, I just brought mine straight across. You see, instead of going down like the V that you have here, I just give it a curve. So now this is going to be the back. So now I have the back panel, I have the front panel. So all I have to do is just take the two of them this way. You see one here, and then I have the second one here too. So you're going to take the two. Remember, you're trying to gather the neckline, right? So what you're going to do is you're going to, so guys, we calculated from this point. So basically we measured from here to here, and then we measured from that point to this point. So we measured the total length we have from this angle all the way, from here all the way. So for me, I got 15.5, right? And then the next thing I'm going to do is, remember, I added 1.5 on this side and 1.5 on this side. That was when it was on a fold, right? Remember, I told you anything you put in on this side is going to be also on that side. So like I said, I had a space of 1.5 in between on that paper. So 1.5 plus 1.5, that's going to be 3 inches. So this whole calculation is basically me trying to figure out the length of the bias I'm going to be working with. So if I subtract 3 inches from this, I'm going to be left with 12.5, right? So this 3 inches is from the 1.5 on both sides, which gave me the 3, and then the 15.5 is basically measuring this length here. So now I have 12.5. So 12.5, I'm going to take my bias and measure out 12.5 and cut off the excess, right? So now what I have to do is I'm going to take this bias, and then I'm going to gather this neckline. You can use your sewing machine to gather it. Just open it up this way, sew a straight stitch here, and help you pull it together. And once you gather it, measure it again until you have, start pulling the string until you have up to 12.5 here, right? Pull it together until it gives you 12.5. And then you're going to use your bias to sew it on top. You understand? So you're going to now use the bias to turn it over. So I'm going to do that both in front and the back. So for the back is the same thing. So for the back, if you curved yours like me, you might not want to go all the way and do 1.5 by if you curved yours like this, remember, it's not going to be exactly, it's not going to be that much. It will not be up to 3 inches anymore. So you might want to do, maybe just remove 1 inch this time, or 2 inches this time for the back, because remember, you gave it a curve, not deep V, like how it went down for this one. Just to estimate it, you might just do about you can still do the same thing. It will just pull it together at the back, or you can just stick to maybe 2.5, or maybe do 2 inches. You understand? Remove 2 inches from it, or you can just stick to the 3 inches, because most times your back might be smaller. It depends. So that's what I'm going to do now. So I'm going to do the 2 and run bias through it, and then I'll bring it back so that we can do the armhole. So guys, you see, the first thing I did is just to use bias to finish this. Like I said, what I use for this part is different from the one I use for the armhole. For this straight part here, all I did is just to cut out 1.5 inch of width, and then I folded it this way, folded the other ½ an inch this way, and then folded it into 2, and then tucked in this part inside of it and sewed it. So that's how I did it. For the armhole is also the same thing, but for the armhole is bolder. You can use the same strap here as here. That's 1.5 of width, but for this one I'm using almost 2.5, because like I said, this person is a big like a big person and they want to be able to wear like a bra inside. So they wanted me to make this strap wider. If not, it would have looked something like this, you see. So all I did is just the same way. I go to the armhole after you've almost closed it, but not to the end. Go to the armhole. You're going to tuck in 1/2 inch this way, tuck in 1/2 inch on this side, you see. So this is the width. Fold in half here, fold in half here. Then take this now, put it in between the two, and just sew it all the way to the end, like you see, like I did here. So I sewed this coming up to this point. I skipped 3 inches in front, so I sewed 3 inches, and then I sewed another 3 inches. So that means 6 inches for the shoulder, like how we calculated at the top of the strap. And then I continued at the back. So you see, and once I finished that, I closed it up all the way. So that's basically what I have to do for this other side now. So I'm going to do that and show you guys. So guys, this is it here. I've finished it. You see, I also added a dart to the bust side. Just pick a small dart in case if it's gaping by the front. So this is just to help it not to gape. So that's basically it here. And thank you guys so much for your time, and I'll see you in my next video. Please like, share, and subscribe. Bye.